Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bible study. I hope you're doing well today. And today will be part one of a study we're going to be calling Who is Satan? We're going to talk just a little bit about Satan. In this 5-part Bible study, we'll explore the biblical identity, the origins, and the ultimate destiny of Satan. It'll focus strictly on what Scripture says to help you recognize the tactics and understand the victory that we have as believers in Jesus Christ. And so let's talk a little bit about Satan. Satan, originally, his name was Lucifer, was cast out of heaven primarily because of a pride and a rebellion against God. According to tradition derived from passages like Isaiah 14:12 through 15, which we'll study today, and Ezekiel 28, 12 through 18 we'll study today, Satan was once an exceedingly beautiful and high-ranking angel. Driven by his arrogance, he desired to be equal to God. And he declared his intentions to ascend above the stars and exalted throne the Most High. In doing so, he convinced a third of his heavenly angels to join him in a rebellion. This resulted in a war in heaven where he and his angels were defeated by Michael and his army and permanently cast down to earth, as described in Revelation 12, 7 through 9. And we're going to be talking about that one too. So let's get started. We have a lot of verses to cover in our short time today. So we're going to be in Ezekiel 12, and we're going to start in verse 13. He says here, "You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone adorned you: carnelian, chrysolite, emerald, topaz, onyx, and jasper, lupus, lazuli, turquoise, and beryl. Your settings and mountings were made of gold. On the day you were created, you were prepared. You were anointed as a guardian cherub, for I so adorned you. You were on the holy mount of God. You walked among the fiery stones. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created till wickedness was found in you. Through your widespread trade, you were filled with violence, and you sinned. So I drove you in disgrace from the mount of God. I expelled you, guardian cherub, from among the fiery stones. Your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you were corrupted your wisdom. Because of your splendor, so I threw you to earth. I made a spectacle of you before kings." So what is going on here? First of all, let's break down this meaning verse by verse. In verses 12 through 13, this passage described a being that was a seal of perfection, of full of wisdom and beauty, and he was placed in Eden, the garden of God, and adorned with precious stones of gold, symbolizing majesty and closeness to the divine, closeness to God. And in verse 14, the exalted position that he was given, he's identified as an anointed guardian cherub who walked upon the holy mount of God. This indicates an angelic being of the highest order, assigned to guard God's presence. The entrance of sin in verses 15 and 16, the being was created entirely perfect, but eventually wickedness was found in him. He became filled with violence and sinned, like through the pride of elevating himself above his role. Does that sound familiar? And then in verse 17, this talks about pride as the downfall. The core message is warning us against hubrisness. The cherub's heart grew proud because of his own beauty and splendor, leading him to corrupt his own wisdom. Consequently, God cast him down to earth in disgrace. So let's go to Isaiah 14, verse 12. And some of you may be familiar with this. This is a very well-known passage. Here he says, "How you have fallen from heaven, morning star of the dawn. You have been cast down to earth. You who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens. I will rise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the mount of assembly on the utmost heights of Mount Zaphon. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you were brought down to the realm of the dead, to the depths of the pits." So Here he's talking about the pride in verse 13 and 14, the I will statements. I will ascend to heavens. I will be like the Most High. This describes a prideful ambition of Satan who rebelled against God. Pride is always a rebellion against God. The desire to be God. Satan's ultimate sin was a craving to possess God's ultimate power and authority. And then he goes on to talk about the downfall. Verse 15 delivers the punishment, the total defeat, and casting down from heaven to the underworld. So let's talk a minute about Revelation 12, about this war that broke out in heaven. Here, John sees this. He says, Then a war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Wow, that's just a very powerful description of a cosmic battle in heaven between Michael, the archangel, and his angels against the dragon, Satan, and his demons. The dragon is defeated, losing his place in heaven, is cast down to earth along with his angels, where he is explicitly identified as the ancient serpent and discoverer of the whole world. And we know now that that the devil lives here, and he lives here to influence you, and he's still in rebellion against God, and he wants you to be prideful and rebel against God as well. So let's talk about some key truths on the passages that we studied today. Satan, originally referred to as Lucifer or the anointed cherub, was created perfect and beautiful. He fell because of pride, desiring to elevate himself above God and trust his own will. And I think that's the lesson we can learn today is don't elevate yourself above God. Don't be prideful, because that is rebellion to God. Everyone have a great day, and we'll talk in part 2.